Business is very simple. What people typically want is they want to make more money or spend less money, right? We don't promise the moon. We say, hey, we want to find 20 to 40% efficiency in as many processes as possible.
Let's do a little deep dive geek out session. All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Surfield Thomas, and this is going to be a very interesting episode of the Mind Capsules AI Innovations podcast, where we talk about all things AI affecting various different industries. I'm here with somebody that I've worked with before, a great friend. I'm not even going to introduce him. I'm going to throw it over to him to introduce himself, talk a little bit about his business, and then we'll get into to things. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Surf. I feel like whenever we talk, it's effortless. So I'm pumped to kind of chat today and sort of like kind of share where our business has gone. So my name is Utam. I run Brainforge. Brainforge is a data analytics and AI consultancy. I started the business about 2 years ago. We're about 15 people now. We've worked with almost 30 plus businesses across industries like B2B SaaS, ecom, and more, traditional, you would say old businesses like home services, legal. And so we've done a lot of great work. My background is in data engineering. Worked as a data engineer, led data teams, and then was sort of leading product at the company that Surf and I were working at. And we built a great data product there, and left that company to start this business. And we've just been really, really working hard to help several clients make more decisions and make smarter decisions. The origination of the business was all focused on data. So this was implementing data warehouses, data models, reporting, and KPI strategy. And I was using AI to actually build Brainforge the entire time and realized how much of a challenge that was. And so very conveniently, we then were able to sell that to other clients because as a CEO, I knew what it took for us to automate parts of our business, and it made it really easy to then pitch that to clients. So yeah, that's where we are now. We serve mid-market private businesses, so typically 20 to 100 million in revenue, folks that are growing and they want to increase revenue and increase profitability. And we really try to drive towards outcomes, and technology and data AI happy to be our shovels to sort of do that.
Very, very cool. I'd love for you to dive deeper because you hit a couple of 2 points. There's 2 points I want to ask you about. One, how are you finding these mid-market companies? But I know that's going to be something big for the viewers. But before you even get into that, you were talking about integrating AI into your business, right? Into your business. So I guess I'm going to start the journey there. Like, what kinds of things have you done or are doing or are seeing that really, really helped you from that perspective, integrating AI into your business?
Yeah, so consulting is a very like historic business. Like there are a lot of books on the way consulting works, and so what is it in the at the plateau, consulting is just a broker between great talent and great problems. And the fact that the consultancy manages those relationships and all of the operations there, they take a fee. And so within a consultancy, there are traditional business lines, right? So there's sales, finance, legal, operations. In our business, there's engineering, there's project management. There's um, and really even within those, and additionally there's marketing design. Within each of those, different business units, there are several processes that happen on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And so for me, I'm an engineer, so I just look at everything like systems. And so we basically go and isolate the various activities that people in those different units do. We work with them to basically write down an SOP, the standard operating procedure of like what the task is. This could be, for example, sending a follow up email, right? And that's something that may seem very basic, but if you write it down the steps, it's actually kind of complicated. You need to go understand who the lead is, understand what we've sent them before, draft the email, get it approved, send it out, maybe find an attachment. So there are these procedures to doing all these tasks within each of those divisions. And then what we do as an AI team is we actually one look at the existing process and then find ways to augment that with AI. So I've done that systematically through the whole business. And I would to give you a sense of like where we've made a lot of progress on the sales side and on the operation side and the project management side. I think engineering continues to be the hardest part to automate. All of our engineers use Cursor and are AI enabled in that way, but I sort of describe AI as like levels of automation, similarly to how you would describe like self-driving cars. Like there are levels of automation. Similarly, in a business, I think just enabling everyone to use ChatGPT is like level one. Then you have level two, which is building workflows that have AI in it, building AI agents. So there's these different levels. So for us, it's first just to make sure that everybody's using AI just to do basic things. Then it's starting to attack processes, and we rank them by the ease of being able to automate. We also rank them by the impact to the business for our current problems. And so we're sort of as a side project. This started as sort of like I was running the AI team internally, and we would go business unit by business unit and automate. Now, of course, our AI engineers are busy with clients, so I don't get much of the time anymore to automate our business. But it will be somewhere we keep investing in, and I feel really lucky because the stuff our clients ask us for is commonly a lot simpler than what I ask our team to do, which shows that like we're on the right track.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I guess so. Then I guess in that same vein, right? Like you're doing things where you're automating certain processes in your business, and I'm assuming that they're giving you large amounts of efficiencies. Um, when you're talking now to your clients about their businesses, are you implementing similar or different or more specific things in their businesses to help them become more efficient? Like, what is, I guess, your business's play to help that organization? Is it to understand through KPIs and things of that nature? Is it to make more efficient, so bring costs down? Is it a mishmash of both? Like, how do you see how you affect your own clients? And again, leveraging AI and sometimes not leveraging AI.
Yeah, so when we go into businesses, for me, again, business is very simple. What people typically want is they want to make more money or spend less money, right? So if we just start very, very basic, our job is we're on the make more money side. We help people grow faster and try to grow more efficiently, which means preventing maybe an additional hire, getting more leverage out of your team and your existing tools, and then also just helping you make more decisions faster, decisions that can compound and help you bring in more money. On the AI side, in all of our engagements, we come in like an audit mode. We've done several things across all of those business units that I mentioned. But when we walk into a client, commonly they want AI, but we need to isolate those two factors. What are the things that you're doing that are taking the most time that maybe isn't the highest leverage activity? And what is the feasibility to augment that with AI? When we go to clients too, we don't promise the moon. We say, hey, we want to find 20 to 40% efficiency in as many processes as possible. So it's not a fire everybody. It's not a you're going to make like $1 million with no investment. This is something you have to invest in, and the expectations are realistic. But the technology is brand new, and I think this is a great opportunity for business owners to invest in AI. So again, this could be something like, hey, my salespeople are spending 20 minutes per lead doing some research and pulling information together for an email. Okay, that's a very simple thing that we can automate through AI. This could be something more advanced, like a VC firm spends 6 to 8 hours on diligence for a company that they want to invest in, and they need to process. Right now, the bottleneck for their deployment strategy, their capital, is the fact that they can't diligence more deals. And so, can we actually help them use AI to do the first 30% of the diligence? Have AI make a distinction whether the company is worth doing more for, and that could increase their throughput by 2 or 3x. That's a more nuanced because we have to understand what is their current process, how did they filter companies in and out, like it's a human in the loop, right? But there are these spectrum of situations that we can come in on, and there's a lot of things that those are more generic examples. But when we come into a company, every company's unique capabilities and process that are really driven by people. And so no matter what, like you may say sales looks the same, recruiting looks the same, but the people are really the linchpin in making any of this successful and getting adoption. And so like it's a huge understanding of like who the people are and the characters are in a company to really like build something worth their time. So
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I guess let's do a little deep dive geek out session, and then I'll bring it back to the business context. You talked about like efficiency and automation a lot. Or a lot of the solutions that you're working with and building for these clients, custom always solutions, or sometimes are they like automated lens of like NANs that kind of like you can build out workflows, connect the dots to give them like these flows that create efficiency in a normally 100% manual process.
Yeah, so for all of our most of our work is all internal related automation. So we're not building things that are customer facing. And yeah, we leverage a slew of tools. So we're not a build a huge custom solution that takes like 6 months. We come in and we prototype fast. And we want to build proof of concepts, get approval, show signs of life, and then start to build larger systems. But I would say overall, the typical thing that roadblocks us, I don't feel like it's actually the AI that's been complicated. It's the adoption and the training of the folks and making sure that we have access to the actual people that are doing the job. We can watch, get their feedback, implement, execute, get their feedback. Like that's the real challenge. But we use a lot of low code, no code tools like N8N. We build, back end databases on several different tools like Snowflake, Supabase. We build simple chat interfaces if we need to, but a lot of the times we try to integrate. So whether that's with Slack, with Teams, with Google Chat. So wherever your team is working, we want to try to be closer there for the initial implementations. So we try not to like boil the ocean. Like if we don't need to build an external application, we don't need to do that. If we could leverage some of the existing integrations and the tools that exist, we will do that. I think the more place where we spend time is on understanding process and building what we call like golden data sets, which is like what is the right answer to some of these problems, and so we can start to evaluate our systems. I can build you an AI proof of concept in 10 minutes that you're going to be like, oh my God, this is crazy. But what you will find is that the amount of edge cases there are, and to actually move something like that into production, there's a wide gap. And many automation agencies, I think, completely miss the ball there. And so for us, like, I know that that's going to happen. And so we try to win on the authority and the trust side by moving quickly, but we are also gaining all this knowledge as we go about what the real problem is. So yeah, as I mentioned, like, look, we do a lot of stuff and we have version control for everything. We do a lot of N8N work. We can use whichever LLM is sort of necessary. We build RAG systems, use several tools to do that. So happy to talk about specific tools and all the stack. But again, we're I don't tr- we're a consulting company, and so for us, I want to build less bespoke stuff as much as possible. I want to leverage our vendor partners as much as we can because my job as a consultant is to identify how we can string together everything for your problem. There are a lot of companies and vendors that will say you have a platform to do this, platform to do that. It's actually like what you'll find if you lock yourself into a platform, you may lose out on the benefit of having an ecosystem of tools. And so for us, it's knowing that, bringing together a mix of vendors, a mix of custom code, but like getting you to the outcome, like and making great engineering decisions on the way there. So
Love this, love this. And all right, cool. Well, I know you, and I know you've done engineering, you've done product, you kind of wear all the multiple hats, but now you're running your own shop. Yes. What does a typical day actually look like for Utam?
yeah, I mean, I'll just like I can run through my calendar today. So it's Friday, which Fridays are it's like, I mean, every day is good and bad news, but Friday is usually more relaxed. But let's just take like an average day. So usually, um, as you mentioned, like in our company, we have a couple of main functions when it comes to delivery. We have project management and we have engineering. We also have like sort of broad delivery and portfolio management, looking at all of our clients. And then, of course, we have general functions like recruiting, HR, operations, legal, and sort of executive functions. But delivery is really the number one thing. So for us, what I do is one, we have several leads now within the company that can report statuses. If there are red flags with companies, if we're stalling on certain work, I tend to kind of drive my time towards the fire. Secondary, I'm still working on some clients. So I'm able to go work on the clients where we have the toughest need, or maybe we're hitting a roadblock we can't get out. So I either play solutions architect or I come in as a lead engineer there. So a lot of my time is spent on sort of Navy sealing into wherever area we need really hardcore engineering support. I meet with clients, so I help the team prepare for client meetings. I'm available there, and For me, talking to clients is what I love to do. And so my team loves to just throw me in those situations, and I dance, and I think it tends to work out. And then the rest of my time is sales. So we're currently spending like almost 50% of my time on sales and recruiting. So this is one, making myself available to talent, making sure that I can do things like this, talk about our business, post on LinkedIn. Sales is also, sending out follow-ups to clients, reaching out to people in my network, doing events here locally in Austin or, around the States. So I would say it's 50% like sales and recruiting, probably like 40% delivery, and then like 10% like every other random thing. And maybe to tell you a little bit about how my time is changing, the delivery side is going to go down and down. Like we are currently hiring people to come in, especially more senior leads now that can start to take myself and my business partner out of the flow. I'm still happy to be an account executive and to be a solutions architect. Those are like really, really chill. But to be in the day to day stand ups and grooming and agile sessions is where I'm getting kind of airlifted out. So I can spend more time on sales, more time on recruiting, and like a little bit more time sleeping. And like that's like the the goal right now. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, all right. How big is the team now?
It's 15 people.
Don't mind that. Oh, yeah, snap. Yeah, you scaled pretty quickly. You weren't playing around.
Yeah, yeah. It's our ambitions have never wavered. Like very, very high ambition, very, very, motivated team. But like our businesses are people. And so I've spent a long time trying to recruit really great people from all over the world who want to be with our business for a long time. But it has not been easy at all. Like this is certainly the hardest thing I've ever done for this amount of time. And it is getting better though. Every week we are getting better. We're growing a lot, but I think in business, like we're never getting it right 100% of the time. And so one of the things I've learned is like actually failure is really constant. It's just about like how often you failing versus succeeding. I think as engineers and you may have like a perfectionist attitude where everything has to go right. But I have more of now like a Vegas odds attitude where like 60% or 70% of our bets need to go, and then we're good. And we should expect 30-40% failure, like in people, in bets we take, in clients. And we just need to understand that that is a fact and take those on the chin and improve, versus like trying to be extremely, perfectionist about everything we do. So that's been like a good lesson that I learned.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's actually leads into the next question, I think, very, very well that I wanted to ask you, which is, well, what's working well for you right now, and then what's been frustrating? I think I have a cue to what's been frustrating, but I'll swing it back over to you.
Yeah, so working well is like we've never had a doubt about our engineering talent. Like I know what that we're the only reason I got into this business is because I felt like there was a glut of great data talent. There was a glut of great data engineers that were available in a consulting manner. And so we've never worried about the fact that like we do great work. In fact, I think we're just more confident these days after working with so many people. I think what has been challenging and what has also been the most invigorating, and what actually gets me out of bed in the morning is our people. I think these businesses are all mixes of human beings. Like I don't tend to talk about our team like our resources are our devs. Like these are all people with families with faces, and so everybody has a unique journey in the way they found your company and how they're dedicating their time to you. But with humans comes like dynamic nature and dynamic challenges. And so I think that's something that we're learning how to run a team with, a mix of people. How do we build, really, really great org structure? But the people are also amazing. Like we have people that are here doing amazing work, and I'm excited to invest in them. And so I would say that's probably the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge is sales. Like I think sales never stops. And I don't think that I will be able to sort of get out of that. So I just learned to embrace it, and reading books about how to get better at sales every day, and just trying to understand that that's our ticket out. How can we sell bigger deals, higher rate deals? How can we expand the list of services that we do for clients? Um, but it is a never ending thing. You have to put time into it every single day, the moment you stop selling, your pipeline starts to dry up, which means like 2 months down the line, you're going to have a gap. And so that's something that I think we tried at different various points to try to offload and just realize that that's not a place to optimize. What we are optimizing on the sales side is operations. So sales ops, right? We're bringing on people like coordinators to help get me into more sales meetings, but everything around that can get automated or handed off. Follow ups, contract creation, SOP creation, project plan, proposals, all of that, there has to be triggered. That could be done by people with much more time on their hands, and instead get me into the extra 1 or 2 meetings where I can sell. So that's what has been most challenging. I think both the people and the sales side for us.
When you say sales, are you including like the outbound marketing side, or are you talking about the end of funnel? Like you're in a room trying to close the clients. What do you mean by sales?
Yeah, I mean, I think because we've been in market now for 2 years and we've been leveraging LinkedIn and we've been building up, like I meet 10 to 15 new people a week. It tends to compound where someone thinks about data or AI and they think about me in our network. And so we've been doing a lot better at people. We now have great case studies, great assets, website, LinkedIn presence. And so we're able to get meetings booked actually at a pretty decent rate, much better than compared to like when last year or the year before. I think most of it is like, how do we close now? So how do we continue to get people booked into meetings? Like, how do we aim for like 10, 15 meetings per week, and do that internally, right? And do that at an appropriate, acquisition costs. But then it's also closing those. Like, how do we come super prepared, come with very tailored offers, understand that, hey, we're pitching an e-commerce company. We shouldn't be coming to the table with a B2B SaaS case study, right? So starting to just get more methodical at how we're closing people, and also build more personalized offers and structures. Um, but those are all take learning, and I think we're getting a lot better. I think we're still continuing to hammer LinkedIn. I'm starting to do events where we get clips and videos, and build local connections. We're starting to go to conferences because I know that if someone meets me and hears the way we talk about the clients we serve, they're going to trust that at least they should have a conversation with me, and that's all I can ask for. At that point, if they don't meet me and they don't like it, that's fine. But how can we just get people to that point is our number one objective.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, I think the same thing. I think in the way that I think about my business is very, very similar. It's like once you can get in the room with them and you can meet them, that's when the questions or the doubts
Yes.
potential stops.
Yes.
Right.
Right. But that's so tough because there's so many people that email, say they can promise the world. How do I show them that I'm just not another, hey, we have software engineers somewhere, like I can help you, right? And so that's done by this stuff where like let's people should Google me or Google the company and see a face, hear me talk. Then when they email, they get in contact with me. Like there isn't this sort of entity. It's like it's a real person with real opinions. So you can move from like a faceless org or a faceless landing page to like real business. Second is all relationships. So for me, it's like, how do I maximize meeting the most people, leaving them with a really great positive impression of our business, sharing with them the wins, and then sort of being like, okay, I know that's going to come back around.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I guess I guess talking about, because you've been at this for 2 years, so let's talk about, I guess, the future. If in the next 12 months, where are you looking to go?
Yeah, so our number one goal right now is growing revenue. I think like you may hear that and say like, oh, that's always the goal, but I think at any moment you have several goals. Like for us, we've thought about like, well, let's just move from just me to a couple people, right? Or let's bring on like some finance help, or let's try to bring on 2 more clients. But right now, I think we're getting better at the delivery side. Right now, the thing we need to scale up is sales. I think we've nailed like how we implement our processes and execute our work. Right now, it's expanding our partnerships, it's expanding our marketing, expanding our sales, and trying to, increase our revenue per month, by about 30-40%. Um, so that means continuing to really, really hammer the sales rituals every day, which is follow ups, LinkedIn comments, putting yourself out there and meeting people. It's also continuing, to invest in content and to make things that people want to read, post on our blog, create case studies. It's also asking for referrals and building partnerships. Can I go to some of the vendors that we do a lot of work for and say, hey, we've done a lot of great work implementing your tool. Would you mind recommending us some from time to time? Right. So all of that takes time to do. Those relationships take months and months to build. And so the best time to do that was yesterday. And so you have to carve out the time to spend half your day just like strategizing. Okay, maybe let me go talk to that database company we just did some work for. I'm sure they're growing, we're growing. Maybe there's something we can do. And you just go ask and you see the worst case, they say no or they say later and then you have a shot on goal. So as many of those as we could take, that's what our KPI is. And so we measure our activity on LinkedIn, we measure the amount of emails that are going out, the amount of leads in process, and we just need to see those go up. But of course, our constraint is money. Like we can't spend to have full-time salespeople. We can't spend to like hire a bunch of agencies to like build this for us. And so we find sustainable ways and we rip a ton of AI. We use AI across the board to give us more leverage without increasing costs. How can we run more campaigns? How can we further tailor our messaging? Um, how can we build case studies faster, put out content faster? All of that we use AI, to help with. But it's not like a end to end. It's just for like 20 to 40% of it or 50% of it. And that's all the leverage that we need.
Got it. Um, I guess on that same side, for some of the businesses that you work with, how much leverage are you seeing them get from the implementations that you're doing with AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a couple of clients that are continuing to invest more and more in our team because they're turning areas that, their team was probably working overtime or strapped or asking for extra headcount and now they can actually say we don't need to hire that extra person. Right. So what is the cost of that? It could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're also seeing people that use our tools that helps free their time for revenue growing activities. Right. If I'm able to spend 30% less time putting out customer fires, where's that time going to go? It's not just free time, it goes allocated to the next most important thing. So the downstream domino effects of saving people time, it's tremendous. I think we severely underpriced for the impact that we have on clients, which hopefully over time changes.
How about you,
We
Goodwill? If anything.
our impact is really, really obvious. And it's all thanks to the technology and it's all thanks to our team that can put it all together. But we also thank our clients for like trusting us, right? Because some of this AI stuff, you may get a little bit brainwashed or nervous in what you're reading. And we come in and we have modest goals that we try to achieve and then start to sort of impact more, whether it's like helping augment moving documents from one place to another, whether it's like chatting over a set of documents to optimize a workflow, whether it's um, optimizing a research process where someone is Googling for a bunch of things, bringing it all into one place. For strategy work, like we isolate that and we just try to get quick wins, but we're finding people spending hours and hours with the work that we're doing.
Awesome. And then I guess from that perspective, like you're building them a tool in one spot of the business and then they might move and free up time to work in another spot of the business. Are you seeing a lot of like repeat business through that flow? Like, hey, now come over here. Where
Yeah.
can
Once we're in the companies and you're a problem solver, problems will find you because you're someone that runs towards the issue and is a very high agency person. I mean, I learned this just from being an employee in companies. Like
I would say this is a very we work trait.
yeah, like I solve problems. I don't tend to get overwhelmed really easily. And so you just end up like becoming the person to crack through things. And as consultants, we're always on the chopping block. So we have to go search for the problems. We have to be really loud with when we solve them and really loud with, hey, give us some more. Um, and so like that's just in the DNA of the company. I think our challenge in Brainforge is really what for the new folks that we bring in the company, how do we train them to be the same? Because not everybody is in a company is trained. Most people are trained just to like stay in your lane so that you don't get fired, you don't get put on their gun. That is not it has opposite here. You need to we have to induce the fact that we're under the gun. We need to take on the most challenging thing. Otherwise, we're gonna get fired as consultants. So like, but it's sometimes hard to find people that have done that with that mentality. But for us, we create a very safe space for folks to do that, for folks to mess up, and for them to say, "Cool, I got it. I can go after it." Um, but yeah, I mean, I think one thing when you find is when you find companies that have problems and you're actually able to, execute for them. I think they tend to start to lean into you more, and that's how we expand, relationships.
Awesome, awesome. I guess one last question to really tie it all together. As you're thinking about your consultancy and as you're seeing multiple businesses, um, like asking for things, are you seeing any parity in the types of tools and things that you're building? And do you believe that there's potentially levering to like building product solutions, like SaaS solutions that solve it? Um,
Yeah, I mean, this is something that is always very attractive. I think that this business has been really day to day, month to month for a long time. So, have not been able to dream beyond just nailing this company. But we are seeing a lot of patterns in businesses. I think we are also seeing that when we get into a business, there's a lot of stuff unique about them, where there are a lot of people trying to build AI products that are very generalized and they're not hitting the mark. Um, we're also finding, though, that there are tools that can be very simply modified to fit multiple different needs. So there is something there for sure. Um, I'm not sure if we're at what point we're going to kind of move towards that. I think staying in our consulting world allows us actually just to eat off of the backs of, a lot of the product companies that are trying things because we can go implement them once they start to win. And I think that's a great model for us right now. I'm not sure where the puck is going and it's moving quite fast. And so I think we sort of just want to continue to be well researched and use the best shovels to dig holes for clients. I think we are going to start to find sort of similar workflows though. Like when you think about an AI stack, you have still a lot of data engineering work. You have RAG over retrieval over, documents. You have your actual LLMs and, the prompts that go into that. You have the integrations where data needs to get sent in structured formats. You also may build UI. So there are these different parts of the stack. And within those, there are now fixed frameworks that we are using. So it makes the next client get a product that's better, faster from us. But I don't know. I don't think it's as like fixed yet. Everybody is having different issues, has different security guidelines, needs. Um, I think when we go into a specific industry, like if you're going to legal, for example, and you're just going to focus on like legal operations, there are really, really common use cases that can scale to multiple folks where it could almost be more of a managed service. Um, hey, I have something that helps you, look through all of your client documents that are coming in, triage and process them. That's something that every legal firm does, or legal invoice auditing. Um, but I think that's where we're probably going to find more of that replicable sort of solutions is like within a specific niche industry, not sort of like broadly across every, company right now.
Got it. I guess there's one more question I want to ask you based on like how you very like it's finally defined like being a consultancy and then like leveraging shovels to dig these holes. Um, is a lot of it high level consultancy where you're like leveraging your partners to actually build the tools, or is it you're consulting and building the tools, but leveraging partnerships with like Snowflake to say, if you need a data warehouse, we have a partnership with Snowflake.
Yeah, it's the latter. I think most of our business over time is gonna be more strategy heavy. One, the development work is very risky, like, and it tends to be really expensive. Like, we have to bring on a big team to do work. So, I think that we are learning a lot about what it takes just to do high billable strategy, where it's actually impactful that we produce roadmaps, architecture diagrams, solution, architecture, opinions and themes, and we will only take the engineering work that tends to be um, higher rate, but also like it's going to work out versus say yes to any sort of engineering work. So originally we started by just doing work. Now I think we're going to do as much strategy as possible and just take the work where we know it's going to be really impactful. But there are times where we leverage partners for executing. we do leverage a ton of vendor partners to bring in, whether it's a data warehouse, whether it's a data modeling framework, a BI tool, a RAG API, an LLM. And so, yeah, we do structure creatively how we execute to make sure that we can hit our margins and make sure we can nail it for the client. But I do think over time, I want our business to be much more strategy and expertise heavy, where we can get really senior people that can come in and save companies so much time by just making the right architecture decisions, getting the right people in the room for the conversation. Those can save like millions of dollars invested into a project versus just coming in and like building the widget. I think there's a lot of people that can do that. We do a great job at that. But I think the other level is really, really where we can build some differentiation.
This is actually really cool. And I want to dig in just a little bit more here. So I guess we're asking more questions as long as you're okay with it. Um, because me and you are builders by trade. So like even in my company, right? Like there's an aspect of it that is consultancy, but really we're a software engineering company. Like we build
Yeah.
sauce, like we make the sauce. I do find it interesting about the world of like actually doing the consulting and less on the side of the building. I guess in your journey right now, where would you say what percentages of you doing building and consulting? And then in the future, where would you want it to be?
Yeah, I think we're kind of like probably 30-70, like 30% consulting, 70% sort of execution and delivery of work. I would like it to be kind of flipped, probably. But it's just it's a different business. And I don't think it's a game. It's sort of just like a game you have to choose to play. The reason being is that one, your hourly rate is higher. Um, the second thing, the problem is though, is like there's only probably a couple people in our company that can actually do that kind of consulting, high level consulting work. And those people tend to be really expensive, right? But I will say in high level strategy consulting, you can start to get billables above 300, 400, 500 an hour, and even higher, right? And so your cost for people typically doesn't breach like more than 100 to 200 an hour, even for really, really great people. So you can bridge that gap. In engineering work, although you maybe get a big contract for a lot of revenue, your margins tend to be pretty thin. Like maybe you're only making 20, 30% margin. For us, we try to get 40% margin, but it's sometimes really, really hard. Although it's a big block of cheese, it's still a small piece versus in strategy, what is it? Like for me, it's your monetizing your knowledge. That's just coming on and saying like this is what I would do. At the end, like there is some more nuance to that, but a lot of it is monetizing what we've done so much of that requires no engineering work, that just requires coming on and having structured conversations. That is a lot easier to do. And I think the ceiling for that type of work can get higher. The second piece is I think all work needs to start there because some business is not great business. And so I want everything to start in the strategy world. And then we take the revenue if we're able to actually hit our margin targets. Versus now we sometimes start on the delivery side. We never get to do the strategy. And sometimes we never even win that because we should have had a strategy conversation. So that's for all of our clients that we start as a pure strategy or audit. It's either 2 to 4 weeks. We do a workshop or we do like a couple of deliverables, and then we move into a larger phase project. Um, there's a great book called The Business of Expertise that I read that sort of talks about this sort of concept of having strategy first. And I think that's where our business is going to go. I mean, I want to work with folks like you, with really, really talented senior level people that have experience working with businesses to make technical decisions. I think there's also, as we see, there's a huge market for software engineers, data engineers. And so I don't think we have a challenge with supply of talent. I think for us, it's really nailing the fact that we can get a client who wants our services, who sees the ROI, and that's where I want to focus on. I think right now, it's given layoffs and everything, there's a lot of people available to hire in those junior mid roles, and so I don't think we've had a challenge with recruiting as much as we're going to have a challenge like selling to those larger engagements. So like, how do you build a business that can charge 500 an hour, right? Like charge like the Bain, McKinsey type rates. What do clients need to see from us? I think we are able to deliver that type of knowledge, right? I totally believe that we should be charging that. So what's the gap right now between us charging that and us charging like way lower that we are at now, it's got to be poise. It's got to be this like branding, right? It's these esoteric things that's where I want to focus my time figuring out.
The business of it all.
It's the business of it all. But dude, you're never gonna like what there's not many people that are in consulting individually that are gonna charge you over like 150 an hour for even really, really technical work. And so if you're able to charge 300, 400, 500, your margin is a really, really quite a bit better. Um, but because they an individual, you can't walk into a company without a business around you and charge 500,000 an hour. Not going to happen. And so that's what ultimately the business becomes, as a vehicle for those higher rates. And then for me, I always love to work with the smartest people, and so they're expensive. So we have to be able to get those rates and to be able to afford them. You know.
Yep. Actually, it's kind of interesting what you bring up because, right, it's like, I guess it's the nature of the beast that is the work that we started off doing, which is engineering,
Yes.
right? It's like you can only really get the deep technical understanding to be able to lead a conversation around architectural decisions from having done the thing. So it's
Yeah.
like the natural progression is that the longer you do engineering, the more senior you become. The more senior you become, the less engineering that you do,
Yeah.
and the more consulting that you do, right? And you'll find that most projects that fail are the ones that didn't do the high level thinking first. It's just like, let's go, let's rip, let's try, which has always been like the age old adage, right? It's like, it's very easy to rip out something that you built with engineers if you built it in a week, right? But like,
Yeah.
if you take that and you multiply it by the amount of throwaway things that you did and actually looked at your year, you burned a large facet of your reserves using things that will never see the light of day, right? And like the whole point, I guess, of the consultancy aspect of it is like talk to people who've done it before so that
Yes.
you can.
But dude, done it 5, 10, 20, 30 times. Like, what's that worth? You know, like we're not seeing new problems, seeing the same problem at most clients. And so we're a cheat code. Yeah, we're a complete cheat code. What's it worth? Right? Like, what's it worth? You may be able to toil, and for some people, they don't trust. For some people, they're like begging to find the answer. And what you're either gonna try to go hire a super senior person for a couple $100,000 and never get there, or you bring us on for just a little bit and you're gonna get all the answers, you know? So some people see it and some people don't, and that's fine, you know. And it's for us to really find the people that see it and give them a really great, offer.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.